When a millionaire said, "Nobody can silence me." His maid's shocking response haunts even now. The night was thick with secrets, the kind that curled around the old mansion like a fog. Inside, the air was electric. Billionaire Charles Langston, known for his drastically polarizing public speeches, was never one to hold back. He had made a name for himself shouting, "Nobody can silence me." His $100,000 wristwatch ticked ominously as he waved his arms before a gathering of guests, some perched on velvet chairs, others peering in from the shadows, all hanging on his every word. The chandelier above sparkled like 1,000 guilty eyes, each crystal catching the flickering candlelight. But it was Marie, the seemingly shy maid, who caught everyone off guard. Just as Charles leaned closer to proclaim his latest controversial opinion, she slipped quietly into the room. Her footsteps barely made a sound on the marble floor, yet it was as if a scream had echoed. An uncomfortable hush fell over the crowd. Visitors stilled, eyes narrowing, as the air grew charged with tension. What could she possibly say? Marie was a mystery herself, small frame, bright eyes full of secrets, her own story tiptoeing on her lips. The guests looked at her, not knowing whether to comfort or ridicule. When Charles turned, irritation dancing on his face, Marie's voice cut through the thick tension like a knife. "Silence is just fear dressed up in a pretty bow." The audacity hung in the air, palpable and raw. Gasps filled the room, and whispers cascaded like a waterfall over cobblestones. $1 million fortune rested upon this man. Yet somehow, this single maid had chiseled a crack in his untouchable facade. As Charles's eyes blazed with fury, murmurs exploded behind him. Some guests looked on in disbelief. Others leaned in, desperate to hear more. "You won't silence me," he thundered, but the words trembled, uncertainty creeping in. What was happening? Was he losing control? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Marie stood her ground, the flicker of defiance in her eyes sending a shockwave across the room. She had awakened something dark and primal in that lavish gathering. Faces turned red, expressions shifting as the air changed dramatically, a sense of impending doom lurking just beneath the surface. Was that anger she saw behind Charles's facade? Was he willing to destroy her to maintain his empire of silence? As gasps turned to echoes of discussions, one thing was clear: the ruling class's golden walls had begun to tremble. Who would rise and who would fall in the aftermath of such an alarming confrontation? You could feel the tension thickening, like a storm brewing just beyond the horizon. The truth was, this wouldn't be the last time Marie was heard from. With her words haunting every corner of that lavish estate, the mansion remained caught in a web of intrigue. What had she set into motion? What chains would snap? Perhaps deep down, everyone knew that conflict was brewing, and not even a millionaire with a loud voice could bury it forever. The atmosphere in the mansion shifted drastically after Marie's bold declaration. It was almost suffocating, an electric silence wrapping around the guests like an unwelcome embrace. They glanced at one another, uncertainty and anticipation dancing in their eyes. In the shadows, a few dared to whisper, sharing quick glances, unsure if they were more drawn to Marie's courage or terrified of the danger igniting within their host. Charles's face contorted with rage, each muscle tensed as he struggled to maintain his composure. He took a deep breath, fists clenched at his sides. "You think you can just walk in here and why not?" Marie interrupted, her voice steady as stone. The room was astounded. Against a titan of wealth and influence, she stood firm, her small frame somehow exponentially larger than it appeared. She wasn't backing down. She was igniting a spark. The deep silence shattered like glass, punctuated by incredulous laughter from a guest in the back. "What does a maid know about silence?" he sneered. Others chuckled, but the laughter felt hollow, an empty echo of privilege that rang out of fear. In that moment, Maria's eyes gleamed with a fierce intensity. Enough! She shouted, her voice rising above the sneers. You play this game of power and wealth, but it's built on hidden truths. Your silence is your prison. The room reeled at her audacity, the air crackling with electric energy, and everyone felt it, a strange levity mixed with impending doom. Charles stumbled backward, disbelief dancing in his eyes. He had cast her as a mere servant, a shadow among the powerful. Now she stood before him like an unyielding flame. Rage bubbled just beneath his surface, ready to explode. Get out of my sight, Marie. You're nothing. You know nothing. Even as he belittled her, something had shifted within the room. The guests began to regard Marie differently. She was no longer just a maid. She was a spark of rebellion in a room filled with complacency. A sound buzzed beneath the surface, something primal awakening in their restrained souls. Is that all you've got? Marie shot back, her voice resonating with the weight of defiance. Fear keeps you from facing the truth. Fear keeps you silent. The surrounding guests shifted uneasily. A heavy discomfort settled in, but Marie could feel the crack in the facade. She clutched onto that feeling, pushing forward with unwavering courage. You use your money to shield you from the consequences of the truths you ignore. Look around. You can't keep us silent anymore. As her statement settled in, Charles's composure began to unravel. Panic intertwined with fury in his eyes. He struggled to regain control over the gathering, barking orders to the guards, demanding Marie be removed. Yet the crowd held its breath, transfixed, a fire ignited deep within their minds. The guests were torn, some wavering between the familiar comfort of their privilege and the allure of standing with a truth they had long ignored. As they battled their silent conflict, the room descended into chaos. Whispers turned into shouts as loyalties began to fray. Enough, Charles! A luxurious voice suddenly cracked through the noise, silencing the chaos with a commanding authority. It was Eleanor, an influential socialite known for her relentless ambition. She stepped forward, capturing everyone's attention. Listen to her. We've always known the silence is fake. A gasp breathed through the crowd. Marie and Charles exchanged a glance, both taken aback by her unexpected support. What had started as a clash between a maid and a millionaire had turned into something more, a rallying cry against an oppressive silence. But just as the tides began to turn, a deafening crash echoed from the grand hall. Someone had fallen. Eyes widened as confusion erupted. Bodies rushed forward, leaving the tension of words behind, eager to see what calamity had struck. In that frantic moment, as everyone crowded the doorway, the air thickened, and a hidden trap seemed to snap shut. The realization hung like a dark shadow. Something was about to be revealed. Something that had the potential to blow every secret wide open. And just like that, the fabric of control shifted. What lay beneath the surface was about to unearth itself. Would the truth destroy them all? Or would it set them free? Chaos erupted in the grand hall as the crowd surged toward the source of the crash. Guests jostled against each other, their voices overlapping in a cacophony of shock and disbelief. Marie, heart racing, felt an urgency well up inside her. She wove through the throng, fear making her pulse quicken. Make way! Someone shouted, and the tone was desperate. Marie pushed forward, the crowd parting reluctantly. What had happened? Was it a mere accident, or was it an omen of something more sinister? As she reached the threshold of the grand hall, her breath caught in her throat. There, sprawled on the ornate carpet, was Henri, one of the older butler's staff. His limbs were twisted awkwardly, and a murmur of fear rippled through the guests. Shock and concern contorted faces that only moments ago had been steeped in arrogance. Marie leaned closer, the scent of polished wood and fresh lilies filling her senses. She knelt beside Henri, grasping his hand gently. Are you okay? Her voice was barely a whisper as he opened his eyes slowly, confusion clouding them. Marie? He croaked, his face pale. I think I fell. It was a weak statement, but the tremor in his voice suggested a rising terror hidden behind those words. In that moment, the energy shifted again, flipping from chaos to cautious scrutiny. The guests fell silent, peering over like vultures waiting for a meal. Suddenly, one woman's shriek broke the stillness. He just fall. That was no accident. The hysteria rippled through the room. Charles, who had pushed through the crowd, now stood near the doorway. What do you mean? He demanded, though his eyes darted with uncertainty. I saw someone. Someone was up on that balcony. She pointed, her voice cracking with fear. They pushed him. Gasps echoed, the air thick with panic. Charles's facade cracked, eyes wide, as he slowly registered the implication. The mansion held secrets far darker than anyone had anticipated. Enough. Marie stood abruptly, shaking Henri's hand gently, urgency replacing caution. Did you see who it was? She urged him. But Henry's eyes flickered, and he grimaced, almost as if approaching an abyss he couldn't bear to confront. It was, he mumbled, a tremor escaping his lips. Everyone leaned in, curiosity mingling with dread. Before he could continue, the sounds of approaching feet echoed from the hallway. Footsteps grew louder, firm and purposeful. The guests shifted, backing away instinctively. A figure emerged from the shadows, another butler, his expression grim, eyes darting. We need to lock the doors. The new arrival shouted, urgency steeped in his tone. We can't let anyone leave. Not until we know the truth. A palpable tension draped the room. Who would want to keep them all captive? What secrets could spiral out from between the walls of this gilded cage? Charles clenched his fists, glancing around, rage seeping from him. How dare you suggest that? No one here is to blame. But doubt hung in the air, a tangible thing that pressed against their throats. Maria's heart pounded. She could sense the thin veneer of civility fracturing. The truth lurked just beneath the surface, aggressive and eager to escape. Do you really think this ends with Henri? Marie shouted, her voice breaking through the turmoil. We've been silenced long enough. The room gasped. Her statement was a challenge, a clarion call. Would they rally together? Or would they cling to their denial like a precious jewel? As unease shifted into resolve, she realized the choice lay before them all. Could this disaster be the catalyst that broke their chains, or would chaos consume them? In the stillness that followed, one question hung heavy in the air, laced with desperation. Who among them could be trusted? With that thought, Marie felt the future shift, its uncertainty a shadow casting long and dark over the mansion. The silence shattered like glass as eyes darted around the room, suspicion looming heavy in the air. Marie felt the weight of those stares, each a silent accusation, each a question demanding answers. The guests exchanged glances, whispers rising like a tide, anticipation thickening the atmosphere. It was more than just fear. It was betrayal, a hidden truth threatening to unfurl. Listen, the butler yelled again, voice taut with urgency. We are all in danger. Until we find out who did this, we cannot let anyone leave. Danger. The word sent a shiver down Marie's spine. She turned back to Henri, searching his eyes for clarity. What happened? Please, Henri, he grimaced, but the words clawed their way out. It wasn't just a push, I heard something, a warning. Something about, he paused, his breath hitching as pain flickered across his face like a lightning flash. The words were tangled in his throat, words that held the key to their survival. Before he could finish, another voice sliced through the tension. This is absurd. It was Agatha, a socialite known for her piercing criticism. An accident cannot lead to hiding us away like prisoners. That is absurd. She tossed her hair back defiantly, but even her bravado rang hollow. Was it an accident, Agatha? Charles retorted, his voice a low growl. One man is lying on the floor, and your only concern is your social standing? As the confrontation flared, Maria's gaze snapped to a figure at the back. Ivan, the mansion's gardener and longtime employee. His face was pale, eyes darting like a trapped animal. She recalled a brief exchange between him and Henri from earlier. Something about the balcony. This mingled with the nightmares swirling in her mind. Could he have seen something? Did he know more than he let on? She stepped toward him, her heart racing. Ivan, did you see something? Please. His eyes widened, panic flaring. I didn't see anything clearly. Just shadows moving up there, his voice quivered. Eyes shifting to the crowd, fear consuming him. But I thought I heard a laugh, a mocking laugh, a collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Marie's throat went dry. A laugh. Yes. Ivan's voice rose, trembling with emotion. It felt like they were enjoying it, like they were waiting for the perfect moment. The tension escalated, the crowd buzzing. Marie turned back to Henri, desperately needing him to confirm Ivan's claims. Henri, who was up there? Please. We need to know. But Henri's eyes darkened. A shadow passing over his expression hinted at a deeper horror lurking just below the surface. The truth is the truth, he began, then trailed off, gasping as if the words were a poison. The butler with grim determination urged everyone toward the doors. The longer we stand here, the more perilous it becomes. We must stay united, or the darkness among us will swallow us whole. Stop! Charles shouted, eyes flicking between Marie, Henri, and Ivan. What did you mean about the truth? Henri, please. Before Henri could respond, lights flickered overhead, plunging them into momentary darkness. Gasps filled the room as chaos reignited, screams intermingling with the pounding hearts of terrified guests. Everyone was moving now, a frantic dance of fear and confusion. Then a chilling voice cut through the chaos, echoing from the shadows. I hope you all enjoy this little game. The mansion holds secrets, and tonight, they will all be unveiled. The room froze. Fear gripped everyone. The monster made flesh lurking amongst them, wielding the threat of fate with cruel glee. Who spoke? Was this a butler, a guest, or something even darker? What new terror awaited Marie and the others? The tension hung like a guillotine, waiting to fall. As the lights flickered back to life, a singular thought ran through Marie's mind, a terrifying realization. Tonight, every hidden truth would find its way into the stark light of day. But at what cost? In a swirling storm of uncertainty and dread, who would make it out alive? The lights steadied, revealing panic-stricken faces. Marie's heart hammered like a warning drum. She scanned the room, searching for a flicker of sanity amidst the chaos. Ivan trembled by the door, his eyes wide with fear. Agatha had turned ghostly pale, her vibrant demeanor shattered. Then the butler stepped forward, holding up his hands. Everyone, please. We need to maintain order. His voice echoed, but it felt futile against the rising tide of panic. But as he spoke, a heavy silence settled over the room, as if something had stifled the very air they breathed. The realization hit Marie. Amidst the fear, they were all connected in this eerie moment. Each person in the room bore secrets that intertwined like threads in a tapestry of deception. Henri staggered, clutching his chest as if the weight of the truth pressed down on him. I have to tell you, he gasped. I overheard something on the balcony. It's about the connection between us all. We aren't just acquaintances. He trailed off, glancing nervously around, aware of the audience that hung onto his every word. What connection? Charles barked, frustration bubbling over. Spit it out, Henri. Before he could reply, the lights flickered again, and for a brief moment, every face was illuminated in a stark flash. Fear, anger, desperation etched into their features. Then just as swiftly they were cloaked in shadows again. Suddenly, the air felt charged, grew thick with mounting dread. I'll tell you what I know, Agatha shrieked, her previous composure disintegrating. Last week, I found something in the library hidden among the old tomes. It was a letter that mentioned a meeting that none of us were supposed to know about. Someone here was planning something sinister. Gasps erupted from around the room, frenzied whispers swirling like a storm cloud. Marie felt anger flare within her. And you kept that to yourself? What do you mean, a meeting? I didn't know how dangerous it was. Agatha stumbled over her words, her facade cracking. There was talk of money changing hands, favors, vendettas. Things that should be never involved us. Marie felt the ground beneath her shift. The mention of money stirred a fear rooted in her core, linked tightly to the realization that betrayal could very well be a currency among them. The tension escalated as the meaning settled in. Who was involved? Henri asked, his voice more certain now despite a tremor still evident in his hands. Suddenly, from the back of the room came a laugh, deep and mocking. The voice sounded familiar, yet detached from the chaos around them. Oh, Henri, you truly are as naive as I remember. Everyone turned as a shadowy figure stepped forward, emerging from the darkness like a phantom. It was Victor, a once frequent guest at the mansion, whose charm veiled a lurking malevolence. Marie's breath hitched as the real threat was unveiled. Did you think your little gathering would remain untouched? I've seen the way you play your games. I should have known it was you, Charles hissed, his anger palpable. You're the one who wanted to exploit us, aren't you? Victor tilted his head, a sly grin dancing on his lips. Exploit? That's quite a word. I prefer guiding. Or rather, teasing out your hidden truths. Marie forced herself to meet Victor's gaze, as if locking eyes could pull the truth from the twisted depths of his soul. Why are you doing this? Her voice trembled, barely above a whisper. Because, my dear, it's time for the world to know the real you. The games we play, they come with consequences. And tonight, those consequences are yours to face. The room fell silent again, tension coiling tighter than ever. And beneath the veneer of Victor's control, Marie could feel the unsettling pulse of truth creeping ever closer. What game was he playing? What role did she, and each of the others, truly have in this sordid tale? As fear began to ripple through the group, the stakes felt higher than ever. And in that moment, Marie understood tonight would unveil more than just secrets. It could lead to someone's ultimate doom. Were they ready to uncover truths that could drown them all in despair? The question lingered heavy as the echoes of the laughter dissolved into the shadows. An uncertainty loomed closer than ever before. What revelation awaited them? Only time would tell. The shadows thickened as Victor's revelation hung in the air like a noose tightening around their throats. Each eye darted between the flickering bulbs above, hearts racing as they sensed that Victor had unleashed a torrent they might never contain. Guiding? Agatha spat. You call that guiding? You're playing with lives. But isn't that the game we all play? Victor leaned back, a cruel smile creeping across his face. Life is just a series of power moves, my dear. You all should know that by now. That's why you're here, isn't it? To seek fortune and favor, no matter the cost. He gestured broadly, igniting a fresh wave of outrage among the guests. Charles took a step closer, fists clenched. You think we're just pawns in your little scheme? You have no idea who you're dealing with, Victor. But I do, Victor shot back, his voice dripping with amusement. You're not just any pawns. You're desperate, filled with ambition and regrets, quietly battling one another while pretending to play nice. He paused, scanning their faces. Tell me, Henri, how heavy is the burden of your mother's debts? Henri's face turned crimson. A mixture of disgust and shame fractured his calm demeanor. You shouldn't speak of things you don't understand, he yelled. But his voice wavered, betraying the weight of Victor's words. What don't we understand? Ivan chimed in, taking a step forward, his voice quaking. What are you getting at? Victor's laughter echoed as he stepped into the center of the room, a hunter surveying his prey. The truth will unearth all our little secrets sooner or later. Just imagine, each hidden fault and betrayal laid bare, and I hold the keys. Marie seethed with anger, teeth gritted. You're sick. Do you really think this is a game? You think we'll just sit here and let you toy with our lives? Toying? Victor's smile widened. No, darling, this is about survival. But you're right in one sense. You must understand the stakes if you're to play the game. His voice turned icy, cutting through the memories of their past interactions. Or you might find yourself buried 6 feet under. Choose wisely. Marie felt her world tilt. The implications coiled around her mind like a serpent ready to strike. Did Victor really know things about her past? A paranoia bubbled within her. She had secrets too. What do we do? Agatha whispered, her voice a threadbare fabric hanging by a thread. Divide and conquer seems to be Victor's philosophy, Henri returned, his voice steadier now, determination firing in his eyes. We need to band together. If we expose his lies, there's no way he can control us. Agatha nodded, her confidence swelling under Henri's resolve. We need to dig deeper into this letter. If it reveals a connection, we can use it. We must. Victor threw his head back, laughing again, the sound chilling. Oh, how naive. Secrets are only as strong as their bearers. What if I told you you're all tied to me in far more ways than you realize? You all share a fate that's irrevocably linked. His eyes glinted with mischief as the lights flickered once more, the atmosphere thick with uncertainty. A pulse of terror shot through Marie as she wondered what he meant. You see, Victor continued, his tone darkening, the meeting was only the tip of the iceberg. Suddenly, the lights went out completely, plunging the room into a suffocating blackness. Screams echoed, panic reigniting like a wildfire. Marie felt herself reaching out, trying to find something solid in the chaos. Stay close. She shouted, a lump forming in her throat. Whispers grew around her, turbulence intertwining with steel resolve. Then, just as abruptly as it had vanished, the lights flickered back on, but the chaos was replaced by an unnatural stillness. Everyone stood wide-eyed, and at that moment, reality shifted. The letter had been found. In the center of the floor lay a crumpled piece of paper, dampened by a shadowy hand. As Marie bent to retrieve it, a new wave of dread crashed over her. What horrific truths would the letter unveil? And before she could read it, the atmosphere shifted once again. Tension creeping back like a thief in the night. Would the contents bring them together or tear them apart? Only the letter knew. The moment Marie picked up the damp letter, a chill ran down her spine. The crumpled edges felt heavy in her hand, as if they carried the weight of promises broken and lives entangled. She could almost hear the trembling whispers of secrets begging to be released. Her heart raced, thudding in her chest like a drumroll announcing the inevitable. Holding the letter close, she glanced around at the group. Agatha was biting her lip, her eyes darting nervously, while Ivan's fingers fidgeted at his side. Desperation etched on his face. Even Charles's bravado wavered. "Marie, what does it say?" he urged, his voice barely above a whisper. Taking a steadying breath, Marie unfolded the paper, every crease echoing the tension surrounding her. She scanned the words rapidly, her pulse quickening as she absorbed the implications. With each line, shock and dread settled deeper within her. Images of their lives, intertwined with Victor's influence, raced through her mind. Each name mentioned in the letter felt like a thread, pulling them all closer to a truth darker than any of them had anticipated. It was a tangled web of financial ruin, broken dreams, and betrayals. It mapped out Victor's plan, linking their fates, as if they were all caught in an elaborate trap designed to reveal their vulnerabilities. "What does it say?" Agatha pressed again, her voice trembling with urgency. It outlines connections," Marie started, her voice wavering. "His plans, how he has used each of us to fuel his ambitions. We're all in this together, whether we want to be or not." A sharp intake of breath echoed as the meaning landed. "We've walked right into his game," Charles said, his face pale. "He has planned this all along." "More than that," Marie continued, a tremor in her voice. "There is something even more sinister. Our deepest fears, our darkest secrets." At that moment, Victor stepped forward, a shadow descending around him, eyes glinting. "And you thought you held the power?" he hissed, the delight in his voice palpable. "Each revelation you uncover only tightens my grip. I know your truths better than you know yourselves." Marie felt the air grow thick with dread. His confidence was intoxicatingly terrifying. "But you can't control us," Henri challenged, forcing himself to confront Victor's gaze. "If we expose you, what will happen?" Victor's lips curled into an amused smirk. "Expose me? My dear Henri, you have no idea what I'm capable of. Secrecy is my currency," he declared. "Unravel the threads of this game, and you might just find yourselves in far deeper waters than you ever imagined." The flickering lights cast ominous shadows, walls seemingly closing in on them. Panic surged like a tidal wave, crashing over each individual as they absorbed Victor's words. Agatha's eyes widened as she took a step back. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," Victor leaned forward, his voice dropping to a poisonous whisper, "that even the best laid plans can turn to ash. So, what happens when you burn the very foundation under your feet?" Suddenly, the lights flickered and then went out once more, swallowing the room in darkness. Each person seemed to freeze. Breaths held as silence settled, raw and heavy. Marie felt her heart hammer violently in the dark, dread transforming into something tangible. And just as suddenly, the lights burst back to life, bright and gleaming. But there, in the center of the shocked group, lay Marie's phone, screen cracked. A text notification blinked on the screen. "I know what you all did. You can't hide now." Their eyes widened collectively, a pulse of horror radiating through the group. Who was watching? The walls felt like they were closing in, breath catching in their throats. "Now we really are tangled in Victor's web," Marie whispered, caught between hope and despair. What other secrets awaited them in the shadows? Would they ever uncover the identities behind the threats? "Perhaps it's time to play for real," Victor said, his grin stretching unnaturally wide. "Shall we begin?" Agatha broke the silence first, her voice quivering. What do we do now? She took a small step back, shaking her head as if trying to clear the fog of fear. Do we confront him? Henry's voice was low, betraying his own uncertainty. Or do we go to the cops? We can't let him continue this game. Panic laced his words. No police, Charles interjected sharply, his expression tight. What if he has something on them too? We're not in a position to play that card. Victor's laughter echoed like a sinister melody. Listen to him, he taunted, eyes sparkling with a cruel light. You're all too afraid of the shadows you've created. Isn't it delightful? From the back of the room, Ivan, who had been silent until now, squeezed his eyes shut. We need to figure out how he knows. If we can find that out, maybe we can turn the tables. His fingers drummed against his sides, the tension palpable in his stance. Turn the tables? Marie almost scoffed. Yet she could feel the spark of a plan forming. Volatile yet filled with potential. Tension like this never ends well. We've got to be smart. If Victor knows everything, it means he is already 2 steps ahead. In her mind, the gears began to turn. There's got to be a way to expose him and take away his advantage. Something that could disrupt his game. Victor watched them with a mocking expression, leaning back slightly, as if savoring a feast. But dear Marie, you're all in this together. Remember that. I refuse to just sit here, Agatha said, fists clenching. I want to know who sent that text. She caught the eyes of the others, as if silently begging for support. We can't be cowed by him or whatever shadow he casts. Victor's smile widened, a predatory glare in the stillness. Very well. Find out who's watching you. But beware, each revelation comes with a price. With a shared glance, the group knew they had to move. They stood together, united by fear yet fueled by the need for answers. Marie stepped toward the shattered phone, reaching for it. The cracked screen flickered, drawing their attention. Who else have you sent that to? She breathed, finger trembling as she swiped the screen. The message was chillingly clear. Secrets have a way of making themselves known. A chill swept through her. What else lingered behind Victor's games? Who else was involved in this twisted web? Let us split up, she suggested, her heart racing. Meet in an hour to see what we've found. Agatha nodded, fear dissolving into determination. I'll check with some old friends. See if anyone has heard anything about Victor's tactics. I'll go to his usual haunts. Charles weighed in, irritation mixing with eagerness. Someone's bound to know something. The tension shifted, fueling their resolve. Each person took a step away, excitement and anxiety crackling in the air. As Marie turned to leave, Victor called out. Don't lose hope too quickly, my dear. The deeper you dig, the more dirt you might uncover about yourselves. With that, the warmth of the room felt colder. A palpable reminder that the game had just begun. Outside, she stepped into the night, the weight of the letter still lingering in her pocket. A million thoughts clashed, forming a storm inside her. Could they even trust each other? The streets were shrouded in darkness, each shadow more ominous than the last. She felt every step echoing her heartbeat, each shadow taunting her with uncertainty. Suddenly, a figure emerged ahead, just at the edge of a street lamp's glow. Maria's heart sank. It was too dark to see clearly, but something about the silhouette felt wrong. Who are you? She called out, voice barely above a whisper, dread curling in her stomach. No response, just a stillness that made the hairs on the back of her neck stand. Then the figure stepped closer into the light, and Maria's breath caught in her throat. The face was familiar, but the expression in those eyes was anything but friendly. Marie, it said, voice low and dripping with menace. We need to talk about Victor. Her pulse raced as the familiar warmth of safety turned icy cold. What secret did they hold? With her heart pounding, she had to know. But was she ready for the truth? The shadows seemed to stretch and twist around Marie as she locked eyes with the figure before her. Every instinct shouted at her to turn and run. Yet curiosity rooted her feet to the pavement. The streetlight flickered, illuminating the sharp angles of the face she recognized but could not place. Who are you? Marie pressed, her voice growing steadier. What do you know about Victor? The figure took a bold step forward. It was Claire, one of Victor's former associates, not just any associate, but one who had disappeared just before Victor's rise to power. Anyone who followed the whispers in town had speculated about what had happened to her. All those rumors flooded Marie's mind as Claire's lips curled into a faint, painful smile. "I know much more than you think," Claire said, her voice smooth yet filled with urgency. "Victor has strings attached to everyone around him. You need to tread carefully." "Why should I trust you?" Marie replied, arms crossed tightly against her chest. Her heart hammered like a trapped bird, desperate to escape the cage of uncertainty. "Because I am the key to exposing him," Claire responded, her eyes flashing with a hint of desperation. "But it's dangerous, and he's watching you all." In that moment, Marie felt both the thrill of hope and a chill of dread. "What do you mean he's watching? How do you know?" Claire's face darkened as she stepped closer, lowering her voice. "He has eyes everywhere. If you continue digging, he'll know. He already knows you're looking. You've become part of his game, Marie." Marie felt as if a rope tightened around her throat. The depth of Victor's power sent a shiver through her. Still, she couldn't back down now. "Tell me what I need to do," she insisted, determination flooding her voice. "I can't do it alone. I'll help you, but we must be discreet. Meet me tonight at the old mill, the one by the river. There's a way we can collect evidence he can't deny," Claire urged. "But if he finds out?" Marie nodded, more with instinct than clarity. She realized this was a chance, a lifeline thrown her way. Yet something in Claire's tone sent warning bells ringing in her head. "I'll be there," Marie said, glancing back at her neighborhood, the darkness seemingly crawling with eyes and secrets. With a final meaningful look, Claire melted back into the shadows, leaving Marie alone once again. She had a million questions swirling in her mind, but one loomed the heaviest. Who could she trust? As she hurried home, Marie's thoughts raced. Would Agatha and the others be able to find anything? Would they even believe her if she told them what Claire had suggested? But more importantly, what kind of trap was Victor setting? The entire evening turned into a blur of anxiety and anticipation. Every creak of the floorboards in her house echoed like a gunshot in the dead of night. She paced, her mind churning, trying to anticipate Victor's next move. Would tonight be the night everything changed? The wind howled outside, mimicking the turmoil within her. As the clock ticked ominously, she resolved to gather her courage. Just as she composed herself to leave, the message on her phone illuminated in a blinding flash. It was a text from an unknown number. "Marie, I see you're meeting my little friend tonight. Hope you enjoy the surprise awaiting at the mill." Marie's stomach dropped. She felt a dread so profound it threatened to consume her whole. Was this Victor's warning? Or was it another turn in his twisted game? With greater resolve, she grabbed her coat. The stakes were higher than ever, but she wasn't about to back down now. The question clawed at her as she stepped into the night air. Could she walk into the spider's web and make it out alive? The mill loomed ahead, a dark silhouette against the moon, its secrets beckoning her closer. What awaited her within those walls could either save her or seal her fate. The old mill creaked as Marie approached, shadows dancing along the walls like phantoms in the night. Her heart hammered in her chest, each beat echoing the danger that lay ahead. The chill of the breeze rushed over her skin, a stark reminder that this was not just another night. This was a descent into the unknown, where truths lay tangled amidst lies. "Stay focused," she muttered under her breath, pushing open the heavy door. It groaned in protest, announcing her arrival like a herald of doom. A lingering tension clung to the air inside, and she hesitated for just a moment, allowing instincts to surface. "Marie." Claire's voice broke the stillness, pulling Marie's attention to a shadowy corner where Claire stood, her expression grave yet urgent. "You came." "I came," Marie confirmed, taking a step forward, her confidence flaring as she narrowed her gaze. "What did you find? What do we need to do?" Claire beckoned her closer, glancing around as if ensuring they were alone. "I managed to dig through some files, Victor's documents. There are connections, things he is hiding about money laundering and threats to key figures. If we expose this," Claire's voice trailed off, eyes widening with potential. "Then he'd be stripped of power," Marie finished, excitement mingling with fear. "But how? If he knows we're here, he'll come for us." "Exactly," Claire acknowledged. "We can't let him catch wind of this meeting. We need evidence he can't deny." something we can present to others, something that will have to be taken seriously. Before Marie could respond, a faint noise echoed from outside. The sound of footsteps. The hairs on Marie's neck prickled. Everything inside her screamed danger. Claire, we might not be alone. We need to hurry. Let us split up in the mill. We can cover more ground. Claire's urgency increased. I'll check the back office. You look over there. She pointed to a cluttered storage area. Marie nodded, hoping the divide would prove effective. They moved swiftly, shadows slipping through the dim glow of moonlight filtering in through cracks in the walls. As she rummaged through dusty boxes, her mind raced with possibilities. The fear lingering in the air felt tangible, and every shift and creak of the building echoed ominously. With shaking hands, she opened a file marked with Victor's name letters, financial documents, all weaving a story too intricate to ignore. Then, just as she started piecing together a timeline, a voice cut through the tension. Marie, she froze. It was Victor, stepping from the shadows, eyes gleaming with malevolence. Did you really think you could play this game without a consequence? Victor. Marie's heart sank. She quickly concealed the documents but failed to mask her fear. What are you doing here? Oh, I've always had my eyes on you. It's amusing to watch you stumble into danger. You think you're clever, don't you? Let us just see who's clever, she shot back, heart racing. What a shame it would be if I had to ruin the moment, he smirked, creeping closer. Trust is a fragile thing, Marie. You'd do well to remember that. At that moment, Claire returned, her expression torn between determination and fear. We have what we need. Now let us. But suddenly, the excitement turned to chaos as the door slammed shut behind them, and a rush of footsteps echoed in response. Victor's wicked grin widened as he stepped back, revealing menacing figures lurking at the entrance. Did you think I would let you run off with my secrets? Marie's breath quickened as panic surged through her. Claire, this way, she shouted, gesturing to a side exit. They darted across the room, adrenaline fueling their escape, hearts pounding wildly. But the men advanced, closing in like predators. Marie, Claire yelled, her expression shifting to fierce resolve, pulling out a small device. Trust me, I can create a diversion. With a flick of her wrist, a sudden flash of bright light erupted in the mill, momentarily blinding everyone. Chaos erupted as Victor's men stumbled back, shouting in confusion. Now, Claire urged. Let us go. They dashed toward a window at the far side of the room, their path uncertain. The darkness outside promised sanctuary, but behind them, Victor's voice rose, a taunt woven through the air. You can't escape the truth. You're still part of my game. Gritting her teeth, Marie squeezed through the narrow opening, heart racing as cool night air rushed around her. Claire followed closely, her determined expression igniting a burning resolve within Marie. Together, they made their way down the riverbank, the moon casting an eerie glow on their path, but the comfort of clarity remained elusive. What's the plan now? Claire asked, glancing back. Do we go to the police? We need proof first, something substantial, Marie replied, her mind racing. We can't let this go unseen. We'll go to Agatha, Charles, and the others. We can't let Victor's games continue. Claire nodded, her eyes fierce with determination. Then it's time to make a stand. We've come too far to let him win. With one final look back at the old mill, they began their hurried trek towards light, a place where truths could emerge, and shadows could no longer hide. The road ahead felt uncertain, but Marie grasped onto hope, fiercely propelled by the desire to expose Victor's darkness. Ready to take a stand as they pressed forward into the night. Her thoughts turned to the others, the bonds forged through fear and courage. They would fight together. This would be a battle for their lives and futures. And Marie would face Victor, not as a pawn, but as a force to be reckoned with. She felt the ground beneath her feet firm, the weight of the night lightning, and with it, the embers of hope igniting not just in her heart but in every soul ready to face the truth. With her resolve anchored, she whispered under her breath, "It's time to claim our power." As dawn broke on the horizon, the time for silence had passed. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the explosive revelations in the next chapter. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. And flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this jaw-dropping conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share this thrilling journey with 5 friends who need to see how it all plays out.